I'd like to call this meeting in order if we'd all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for being here. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Jessen.
Is here.
Councilmember Whitten.
I am here.
Councilmember Conover. Present. Councilmember Graham.
Present.
Councilmember Larson.
Here.
Councilmember Bozick.
Present.
And Councilmember Rivas. 6 present.
Okay, we have approval of the June 26th meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion on the floor that is a second to approve the June 26, 2017 council meeting minutes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Whitten.
Yes.
Councilmember Conover.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson. Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas is absent, and Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
6-0.
Okay, Madam Auditor, can we have first reading, please?
Notice to taxpayers of proposed additional appropriations. Notice is hereby given the taxpayers of Porter County, Indiana, that the proper legal officers of Porter County, Indiana will meet in the Porter County Government Administration Building located 155 Indiana Avenue, Valparaiso, on August 22nd, 2017 at 5:30 p.m. to consider the following additional appropriations in excess of the county budgets for the year 2017 and to transact any further business which might come before the council. General Fund, ITS, 3610 maintenance agreements, $9,000. ITS 3720 software, $40,000. Parks and Recreation 3620, building and structure, $10,038. Recorders Perpetuation Fund, line item 4510, data processing equipment, $10,000. Riverboat Fund, 1191, 1210 FICA, $13,158. 1230 PERF, $19,264. 12410 Longevity, $172,000. Surveyor Perpetuation Fund, line item 2250, other supplies, $2,500. 4510 data processing, $1,500. Tax sale fees fund, $3950. Contractual services, $31,931. Animal shelter donation fund, $3950. Contractual, $8,000. Hospital interest, $3950. Contractual, $16,250. Parks Grant Fund, $3950, contractual, $5,000. Memorial Opera House, DNR 2017 Grant Fund, $3950, contractual services, $70,000. Memorial Opera House IAC Grant Fund, $4410, office equipment over $100, $7,779. Coastal Management Grant Fund for the parks, $3950, contractual, $10,000. Taxpayers appearing at such meetings shall have the right to be heard thereon. The additional appropriations, as finally made, will be referred to the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance, which will make a written determination as to the sufficiency of funds to support the appropriations made within 15 days of receipt of a certified copy of the action taken. Signed, Vicki Urbanek, Auditor of Porter County, published August 11th in the Chesterton Tribune.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. As far as the schedule goes tonight, in an effort to accommodate some of the council members' schedules, we're going to move a couple of the items that we had listed on the agenda. We're going to move those up to the front of the agenda prior to getting into our regular monthly items. First thing that we'd like to talk about is the introduction and the adoption of the stormwater bond issuance and the appropriation of the bond process. So if we could have the commissioners step forward and present their request, I would.
Let's roll. So the first request is for the $20 million bond. This is to follow up to having the agreement that Twin Creeks and / South Haven is going to come into our system. once that was done, the kind of the long-term plan, since the stormwater fee has been put into place, was to be able to allow the stormwater fee to be there, be able to go out, do a bond of something around this size to allow us to go into South Haven and Twin Creeks and that surrounding area. Again, it's just not South Haven. This is Twin Creeks and the area that Twin Creeks was serving, along with, there's probably another $5 million or so on this bond that is going to other larger projects within the county to get those taken care of in the next couple of years. The preliminary budget that the Stormwater Board turned in for their operational budget was guesstimating at a $1.5 million a year bond payment. At that level, we still had about $1 million left over a year for projects. As you all know, that department is self-funded, so keeping the cost of the operation under control is important, so that we were obviously attempting to avoid a situation where we have a bond, we have money for 3 or 4 or 5 years to get some pretty good-sized projects done, but then ultimately don't have any project money or things to go on besides operations. We're very mindful to stay out of that situation. So this number with the preliminary projection that was provided by we're looking at around 135 or so. So again, that projection should allow us to have at least $1 million a year beyond this $20 million bond to continue with our normal projects, ditch, culvert repairs, culvert replacements, ditch cleaning, et cetera. We do have bond counsel here, Mr. James Shanahan, and also we have Umball here also as the financial advisor. Mr. Jason Semler from Umball is here to answer any of your questions. But ultimately, the goal here is with this bond's pretty straightforward, allows us to continue with our relationship that we have started with Twin Creeks, and to let us get in there and do some of the very large capital projects, pipelining, et cetera, to allow that situation to be resolved. And then also, as I pointed out, there's probably somewhere $4 to $5 million of other projects, one of which would be the 1/2 share of the 700 with Portage for the 1.5 to get that drainage project completed at that area.
Is that what you're calling Willow Creek Road?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
Okay.
And as you can see, I believe attached to the proposed ordinance that we have for you for first reading tonight is the project list, which goes through a pretty exhaustive list of things where we're going to be going and spending. And as you can see, $20 million is a good start. Doesn't fix it all, but it gets us there. But if you have any questions of bond counsel or Umball or anyone else.
Well, we're pulling a fee, we might as well put it to good use, quite frankly. I'd like to make a motion to approve this bond.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a second to approve the bond presented by the Commissioner's Office.
Hold on a minute, Scott. You had that deer in the headlights look.
Do you want, well, we don't.
Well, we'll get to that after we do our first reading.
Okay.
We'll decide if we want to waive.
Okay. And we don't have 7 at this point anyway, so.
Oh, Jeremy's not here yet.
Yeah, we can't really.
But we also have to do the public meeting portion of this also. So we can.
Prior to the motion, Dan, would you like to have the public input portion of the meeting?
Yeah, sure, I'll withdraw my motion.
Second withdrawn? Okay. Are you finished?
Yes.
Scott? Okay. We are going to open it up for a public hearing, and I believe we have a list of people who have signed up to speak either in favor of or opposed to the ordinance as presented. I do want to say and state as part of the record that resolution number 17-01 was presented to us from the Twin Creeks Conservancy District, signed by all their members, and I won't read it, but in there it states, appreciating the Porter County Stormwater Management Board willingness to collaborate with the Conservancy District in funding and implementing the stormwater management improvement projects jointly with the Conservancy District. They support the Stormwater Management Board determination to borrow the $20 million bond to implement a comprehensive strategy of stormwater improvement management, improvement projects in Porter County, and they encourage the Porter County Council and the Board of County Commissioners to proceed as expeditiously as possible. So this is from the Twin Creeks Conservancy District, so that's something that we'll include as part of the record. And at this time, I'd like to recess the county council meeting and open up the floor for the public meeting. So,
It's fine.
yeah. We will go ahead and temporarily recess our council meeting and open up the floor for the public presentation.
Or public input.
Public input, sorry.
Yep.
We do have 4 people listed that would like to speak either in favor of or opposed to the resolution that's been, or the ordinance that's been presented. So I first ask for the people who are here to speak in favor of the stormwater management proposal as presented. If you would stand up, state your name and address for the record, and we'd like to limit the conversation to 2 minutes, if we could, just to state whether or not you're in favor or opposed to the program. So first of all, I'll call for the people that are in favor of the proposal that we're talking about today. Anybody in favor of the proposal that we're offering today?
Oh, it's a bad sign. Oh, here we go. That's a bad sign.
Good evening. My name is Ed Booth, 165 East Highway 6, Valparaiso, Indiana, 4633. I want to tell the board that I'm neither against it nor am in favor of it. I have some questions for you that I'd like answered, if I may, and present these questions to you now.
What I'd like to do at this point is if you could address those questions to us.
I'd like to do that.
And then we'll allow the commissioners to respond to those questions at the end of it.
You had an article in our paper, Commissioner's bond issue request on the common council agenda Tuesday, okay? My question is, having read that one way to bond was against the earnings from the investment of the Porter County Hospital sale proceeds.
It's a different bond.
That's a different bond.
You're on the wrong bond there, Ed. That's the next one.
That's the capital project.
This is the stormwater bond.
This is the stormwater.
Yep.
Right.
And the stormwater bond would be paid for with the stormwater fees themselves. There would be no foundation interest utilized or local income tax utilized to pay this bond back.
I stand corrected. That question I'll present when the next one comes around, how you do that. The rest of that question was, if you have no earnings in the investments that year, or whatever, how do you pay for it? Now, that goes to the other one, so take that note, and I'm sorry about the misunderstanding. I'd like to know, as I've heard and read, that South Haven had a district of its own, and that kind of failed, and now the county's going to take this over. They have agreed to join our stormwater ordinance and so forth, as I understand. I'd like to know how many paying units are in South Haven at this time that's going to join and help pay this bill.
Ed, not to interrupt you, you've got 10 seconds left. I'm not trying to limit you, but
Okay.
just in fairness to everybody.
Are the bonds sold over a period of time, or are they all sold at once, and who are they sold to? Thank you very much.
Good. They will address those questions.
Do we have anybody else? You want me to do it?
Do it now? Fine.
The south, I don't have the parcel number within the Twin Creeks Conservancy District that will be paying, but the total revenue that Twin Creeks will be paying will be about $450,000 a year towards the stormwater fee. That fee was come to based upon our GIS department going through the parcels and counting them out and applying our stormwater fee as if Twin Creeks Conservancy District was not in existence. So at the end of the day, everyone residing within Twin Creeks would be paying the same amount as everyone else is paying to the stormwater fee in the unincorporated area of Porter County. As far as the bond questions, I'll let bond counsel answer those.
Good evening. The plan is currently to sell the entire $20 million at one sale. We're in a period of historically low interest rates, so there isn't a lot of not a lot of advantages gained from separating it into separate sales. That would increase cost of issuance and also expose you to some interest rate risk. And as far as the buyer, we don't know yet. The bonds will be sold through a competitive sale, and the buyers will be the lowest bidder on the day of the sale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the proposal that's presented? That's going once. Anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the stormwater proposal? Last time for anyone to speak in favor of the stormwater proposal as presented. Okay, we'll move on to the people who are opposed. Anybody opposed to the stormwater proposal? Sir?
My name is Herbert Reed. I live at 791. I live at 791 North Calumet Avenue, Valpo, 4630383. That is on the county numbering system, not the city. I'm opposed to the use of the stormwater management fees for the purposes that are being stated in, at least in the paper, specifically stormwater fixing of roads and ditches and so forth in South Haven and other locations. The reason for that is that the way I read the bill, it is illegal to do so. The act itself uses the word water quality. Where is the water quality in what you want to do in South Haven and other locations? You are creating, in fact, you are worsening the situation because you are creating more point sources of pollution. Now, point sources of solution have to be dealt with in a different manner and from a different perspective. Some things I am not opposed to paying extra taxes as necessary to solve the flooding problems in South Haven or elsewhere.
For 15 seconds. Sorry.
But not with the storm water fees. How much time do I
10 seconds.
have? Is that it? That's it. All right, I can write it all down later and elaborate. Thank you.
Thanks, Herb.
Thank you.
No, I think we should just keep on trucking.
Keep on,
And then we'll address all the questions or points that have been presented after the public input. Anyone else that would like to speak that's opposed to the stormwater bond issuance? Anyone else here that would like to speak opposed? Ma'am? Excuse me.
My name's Teresa Dixon, and I live at 512 Sunshine Drive in Salt Creek Commons. Everything in the article was speaking about South Haven. Believe me, I know South Haven has a huge issue with their storm sewers. But so does Salt Creek. For 20 years, the residents of South Haven and Salt Creek have paid into Twin Creek Conservatory District. 20 years. Thousands, millions of dollars. And zero. They did nothing. Nothing proactive, had no plan for proactive. Now you're going to turn around and you're going to partner with Twin Creek. They have no idea what's going on in Salt Creek County. None whatsoever. So you're going to let this company that couldn't solve any of these problems continue? It's not right. If you're going to move over and somebody else is going to take care of this, then you move over. And Twin Creek needs to be shut down. We don't need to pay their salaries anymore. We don't need them to come look at our properties anymore because nothing has happened. I have had them come out and they look at me going, it's your property, how much are you putting in? This is a huge, huge thing. It's just not, hey, let's get $20 million and up to $17 million will go to Salt Creek problem. And if you're going to lead off of Twin Creeks, a huge mistake, you're going to go down the same road. They're going to give you, what, $450,000? Anything worth $450,000 all these years. You have to stop that other group, because it'll be the same thing.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here tonight to speak that's opposed to the stormwater bond issuance? There's one more name on the list that I can't quite call out. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak in favor or opposed to the bond issuance?
My name is Sandra Johnson. I live at 132 Johnson Drive in Valparaiso, Calumet. I think South Haven deserves a lot of credit for having the patience they've had. I am in favor. However, I think that there is an issue of, it's sounding to me like they're in an awful big hurry to get this started. And we've had so much construction this summer. I would hope that you would wait until spring at least and give us a little bit of breather. I don't think the construction's going to stop this winter, but when you're doing sewers, it's a real mess. There's going to be days you can't do anything. And that's the reason I had that question.
Thank you very much. Okay, anyone else that would like to speak in favor or opposed to the bond issuance? If not, we'll close the public hearing.
All right, to attempt to answer the questions, let's start with the issue of Salt Creek Commons. When I use the term Twin Creeks, if any area that was paying into Twin Creeks is what I am considering to be Twin Creeks, and on top of that, their drainage needs are part of this plan. If they are not within the Twin Creeks Conservancy District, then they're already in our unincorporated plan and should be being addressed. If they're not being addressed, then that is something that we would have the funds to address and move forward on. Twin Creeks is getting no special consideration here. The $450,000 number is a year forever. And then, so that is a continuing source of revenue to be paying back the work that we'll be doing. Also, most importantly, we are not giving Twin Creeks money to fix the problem. Twin Creeks is not going to be primarily responsible for fixing these problems or maintaining the system once fixed. The county's stormwater system and engineer and department will be in charge of fixing what is wrong with the drainage system in this area, and then in charge of maintaining that area also. As far as Mr. Reed's comments, we just completely disagree as to the use of the stormwater management funds or fees. Those fees are clearly able to be utilized and have been being utilized to do stormwater projects, including ditch cleaning, pipelining, retention ponds, and that is exactly what we would do in this area that we're referring to. There is no idea to utilize these funds for paving or sanitary sewer. This is strictly stormwater, and flooding issues in its totality. So this money, again, just like our fee can't be spent on anything else, this bond money would not be spent on anything that would not be falling within that bailiwick. As far as the issue of the current construction schedule, again, we're dealing with stormwater, we're not dealing with roads, we're not dealing with sanitary sewer, and we are very aware that we would have to phase these projects in over the next couple of years, as this entire area has a significant need, as we're all aware, and we obviously cannot go in all at once, whether it's fall or spring, and tear up the amount of area that would need to be tore up to make the fixes necessary. So this would be phased in probably over the next 1 to 4 years at least to get all these projects completed, obviously to minimize the intrusion and also to deal with the most pressing issues first and work our way down.
time, I'd like to open up the floor for the council members.
I'd like to make that motion again.
I'll second that again.
There's a motion on the floor and a second.
I have just one quick question. Well, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, discussion.
Thank you. Will Twin Creeks continue to exist and collect money from these people?
They will.
And then these people will also be paying a stormwater fee? Or is it whatever the fee comes from Twin Creeks, that's what the county will get?
The county will receive, the simplest way to answer your question is the county will receive the funds from each parcel as if they were not in a conservancy district, and I do believe Twin Creeks is planning on charging a fee to remain in existence for themselves, and they have offered to partner in some of the maintenance, but again, the county would be the lead on the projects and on the maintenance. And as far as...
We're not in charge, we can't shut them down.
We
do not regulate.
I understand that, I was just asking about the fee.
Yeah.
The fee.
Twin Creeks is to dissolve it, it has to be through their board's motion to do so.
Oh, I see.
Any other discussion?
Just, like for the record, to reflect that I'm here.
Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you for waiting, I appreciate you guys. But this is a long time coming, and I'm glad it's here. I grew up in South Haven, I live in Portage now, I know the issues that have been out there, and I know that you guys worked very hard on getting this partnership with Twin Creeks, but not just that, overall, the stormwater, the fee, and getting this whole system, under one guidance. And so I'm glad we're here.
Thank you, Jeremy. And just for the record, Jeremy is on the Stormwater Advisory Group, and he's your representative on that board, so he's going to be helping us do a lot of the heavy lifting on some of this stuff, so couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Any other discussion?
I just wanted to add that years ago, South Haven area was identified as a priority area. I don't remember how many years ago that was, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, and we're finally there. These people need some relief.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Okay, if not, we'll take a vote on the capital improvement bond issuance, or excuse me,
Slow down.
stormwater bond issuance, and the adoption of that. And can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
7-0.
I think we can probably suspend the rules on this if we want to have second reading today. Correct?
Yes.
I'll make a motion, we suspend the rules for second reading.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a second to suspend the rules on the second reading. Any discussion?
It's got to be unanimous.
Madam Auditor, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
And Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
7-0.
I'd like to make a motion to pass this on second reading.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a second to pass this on second reading. Any discussion? Can we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten?
Yes.
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
And Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
7-0.
Okay, so that takes care of that item. The next on the agenda is the capital improvement bond issuance, and I'd like to start off with having the commissioners make a presentation on their request.
I think this one we can go a little quicker on. A couple months ago, we were here with the capital improvement plan. It's a $30 million plan. You guys all have copies of that. Again, we have bond counsel and UMBAW here for any questions. But ultimately, what we would like to do, the bond will be backed up with local income tax. We all know that our foundation plays a role in this. The interest from that foundation plays a role in paying whether it's this bond or whatever gets moved out of the lit budget or the local income tax budget. But ultimately, Our bottom line number, from Umball at this point, is an estimated $2.1 million a year for 20 years.
How many years, Scott, said again?
20 years. So I think we could probably go into the public hearing portion, and then whatever questions the council has and the public has, we can try to address those.
I'd like to temporarily recess our council meeting and open up the floor for a public hearing on this particular resolution. So we'll open up the floor. The sign-in sheet, we have 3 people who would like to speak on behalf of the topic. 4 people. And what I'll do is, if everyone's okay with it, I'd like to just call their name and have them speak, and you, obviously through your communication, can tell us if you're in favor or opposed to the particular topic. First on the list is Herb Reed. I got that right, hopefully?
Oh, yeah. Yep, you got it right.
You're on, Herb. It's your turn. Maybe we can come back to Herb.
Yeah, the next person.
Does it have anything to do with the clean water?
No.
We can come back to you at the end if you'd like, sir. Next on the list is Ed Goot. Please.
Is that pronounced Goot or Good?
I just want to say that I think it's nice and it's very appropriate to have our buildings and our county parks and all that in good shape. And if that's what it takes, I think that's a good thing to do. I just want to make one thing clear. I believe that this probably doesn't concern what you're talking about, but the interest from the hospital money, to my estimation, is people in the county's tax money. And I'd like to see that tax money go to these projects because it's for the people who have paid into that Porter County Hospital over the years. And it's giving back to the people who live here their money back in improvements, and I think it's a good idea.
Thank you very much, Mr. Goot. Next on the list, we have Candace Shaw.
Hi, I'm Candace Shaw. I live in unincorporated Valparaiso, 31 Lockerbie, and I'm here in opposition to the project as the way it stands today. Not because I oppose the buildings or the roads or any of the projects that we need to have. I know they'll bring jobs to the area. I know it's needed improvements for the area, and I know it's a top concern for councilors and commissioners alike. However, I sat here about 3 months ago and was told that there was no funding mechanism for spending the money out of the charitable foundation. And now, oddly enough, I sit here before you again and hear a much different story. It's almost magical how this council found somehow in some way to pull a rabbit from your hat. And now there's a mechanism for those exact same funds that the Caring Place was asking for to pay for a $30 million bond project and the roads and buildings that come along with it. Now, I certainly hope that you don't believe it's sufficient to put together only a portion of a funding mechanism in favor of creating the whole mechanism. Choosing to fund the pet political projects in lieu of improving the health and well-being of the people of Porter County is just not going to work. Secondly, the funds that you plan to use are technically and legally tied up in a 501c3 charitable community foundation for your organizing documents for the IRS. This is not a fund of the government. This is not a capital project fund. This is not the general fund. This is an entirely and wholly separate entity.
Candace, 30 seconds.
What I haven't seen that I need to see, and I believe that the people of Porter County need to see before we move forward, is legal opinion from a highly qualified counsel that deals with community foundations and their IRS implications on whether or not you legally have the ability to move funds from a community foundation back into the government coffers.
Time.
In lieu of having that publicly available, I suggest you got some work to do.
Thank you very much. Next on the list, we have Sandra Johnson. Is she in the
Well, I
audience?
had some questions, and I was here before going to my address. No, okay. My question is, I want to get straight. There is a fund that was collected for the sale of the hospital. And then there is a charitable foundation which has the interest from that first fund, is that correct? That's where the interest is in the charitable?
Sort of, but we'll get to
Sort.
that, yeah.
That doesn't clear the work.
You're going to get it.
Okay,
You're gonna
okay.
get it.
Then the bonds are used, or the funds are used as collateral for the bonds, or is that totally different?
Well, if you want to present your questions, and we'll have commissioners address
Okay, that would be fine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that all the questions you have, ma'am?
I just wanted to get that straight.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mr. Reed, are you prepared to speak on behalf of the topic at all, or would you want to at this point?
Speak on behalf of who?
On the capital.
I'm half deaf.
On the bonding for the capital projects,
Well, that has nothing to do with
No.
my previous concern.
Yeah,
I have
it
no-
doesn't. Yeah, he does.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, Commissioner's response.
Well, some of those aren't just our responses, so would you like to take a stab at it?
Yes, I believe I would.
Okay.
So we know that on some of these questions, with respect to who has the money, who's on first, who has the interest, all that stuff, as you know, the hospital was sold by the county, and the proceeds from the sale were invested through what the statute allowed the county government to invest them, and for the most part, it was restricted to the extent that we were not getting much return on our money. So along comes a change in the statute that allowed us the ability to create a foundation and to transfer the money into that foundation to invest, because that relieved us of the restrictions that government has on it for investing funds. Because of that, the foundation is able to invest and get a much higher return on its money, to the extent that we went from roughly $1.2 million to partial year last year, $6.3 million, and in my conversations this week with the consultants, we're probably going to have a better year this year, quite frankly. Equities are doing very well. We have some restrictions on how much we can invest in equities. We have both by statute and then what we've done with our investment policy. So to answer your question, the foundation, which by statute, the members of the foundation board are the 7 council, 3 commissioners, and a few non-voting members, that foundation has the investment power of the funds. Up to a certain percent of return on the money goes back to the county. The rest goes back into the principal to be reinvested. So that's why I said sort of, because it's us, but it's us on a foundation board. There is no other foundation like this in the state of Indiana. This statute is, a creature of first impression, which is why it required a change in the law. No other county has done this. We have sort of led the way, and other counties are following suit, because quite frankly, it is insane to invest public monies and return, pennies when you can return millions. So that's as far as I'm going to go down that.
Thank you, Councilman Whitman. Commissioner's response.
Okay. Yeah.
As far as what would the foundation itself would not be the collateral for the bonds, that was, I think, the last question. The local income tax, what we've been used to calling seeded, would be the actual collateral for the bonds, not the foundation. Again, I think there are some issues, as Councilperson Whitten alluded to. The foundation's not that old. It's kind of a new entity. However, obviously, our financial people are aware that we have $150 million that still remains within county government, and within certain parameters could be spent. So that those things will obviously be brought up with the sole goal of attempting to get the best interest rate we can get.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to, at this time, open up the floor for the council members.
Yeah, we've come down a long road to get here, and there's been a lot of twists and turns in the road, and a lot of hurdles that we've had to get over. I've alluded to some of those with respect to the change of the law, the creation of the foundation, the creation of the investment policy and bylaws, the investment of the money, the retaining of consultants, investment consultants. All of these things have been done in relatively short order compared to what they thought we'd be able to do it in. And all of these things have been done with the goal and the end vision of maximizing the return on this money to the benefit of Porter County residents. We've had a great deal of conversation about what that means. Does it mean not-for-profits? Does it mean capital projects? Those sorts of things. I kind of think it means all of it, honestly. But we need to continue to improve the buildings, the facilities, the amenities in this county, because that improves quality of life. Now, I'm not saying that means to the detriment of not-for-profits. We are working toward that. We've got a committee now that's going to plow forward a little bit further. So they're not going to be left behind. And this isn't going to eat up all of our return. It just isn't. Unless we turn out to be communist Russia and the market crashes and we're all staying in bread lines, we've got enough money set aside to get us through some rough years if those were to happen to come. But keep in mind, in the good years, we're feeding the principal. We're only pulling 5% in. So the idea of the very nature of our investment policy and the statute is to get you through those rough patches in investments. So we're not talking about locking all the money up here. We're not talking about, pet projects, political projects. We're talking about badly needed improvements to amenities, facilities, accessibilities for the residents of this county. It's been a long and strange trip, to quote the Grateful Dead again, but we're here. We've set the table. It's time for us to enjoy the fruits of the labor with the people that have entrusted us with this fiduciary duty. So I hope that people understand that. I hope that people enjoy seeing the results of this. I hope people are proud of what's happening in their county. When people look around at other counties where they're passing ridiculous income taxes, they're laying off police, they're trying to find money on every nook and cranny, I hope people in Porter County realize that we are head and shoulders above that. We've planned, we've worked, we've taken the challenge, and you are going to reap the benefits of that. And I'm just tremendously proud to be part of that. So, thank you.
Well said. Thank you very much. Well said. Any other discussion?
I guess I just wanted to add that back in 1996, 97, Jim Biggs and I were around. We had a jail.
Well, this should be a fun conversation.
Yeah, we had a jail study committee, and we knew we needed a jail, and there was a committee, and they studied it for about a year and a half, and yes, we built a jail. What kind of a jail? Where's the jail going to be? How do we fund the jail? The commissioners did all of that in a year's time through consultants and studying and going through our buildings and what can be done to improve these buildings and make them functional for today's needs. And I thank them. And they cut through all the red tape for us back in the day when we were making some other big decisions. We made the right decision 20 years ago, and I think we're making the right decision now. And I'd like to make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor to adopt the capital improvement bond issuance as presented by the by the Commissioner's office. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Did I make the motion?
Karen did.
Oh, good. Because that would have been really embarrassing.
You're good.
So a motion and a second, so let's continue the discussion. Any other discussion from council members? Any other discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some lengthy conversations over the last couple of weeks with council members, commissioners, even our county attorney. They've been good conversations. There's some things about this, some of the things we're doing I don't agree with 100%, you know, and I've expressed those interests. I know there's things that we have to do here that just need to be done. You know, like I said before, I appreciate you guys putting your effort into this. We've been asking for this for years, and I'm glad there's a plan in place in front of us. Whether I agree with it 100%, I don't, but it doesn't mean, you know, I get my way all the time, or anybody gets their way 100% all the time. So I'm glad this is here in front of us, and I appreciate your guys' time on this. But there's, you know, well, we can take this vote, and I'll have, you know, other comments on this, but I do appreciate your guys' work on this. There's some good stuff in here.
Just one quick comment. I think that it's the idea that we are going to form a rainy day fund. Does this go along with it?
Correct.
And so we are looking ahead, and we're planning as much as we can for any downtime or anything that would occur that we'll still be able to meet these projects. This is going to create a lot of jobs, and it's going to solve a lot of problems for the county. I'm just very happy that I can be a part of this.
Mike, to go along with that, Sylvia, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, what was brought up before was the responsible bidder ordinance, and I brought that up in some conversations recently. And I believe that you guys were presented with that in one of your meetings, and that is something that you guys are going to continue to move forward with at your next meeting or sometime in the near future. I believe I take your guys' word for that. That's something that's going to be done. Yeah, so that's a big part of, you know, my support of this.
From my perspective, I want to congratulate the Commissioner's office for the work and study and time invested in coming up with a plan that they did. And to come presented in a unanimous support for a project of this magnitude is, I think, something pretty terrific and should be congratulated. The Commissioner should be congratulated as a result of that.
Thank you.
And as we talk about, you know, whether or not the plan is perfect, I believe the plan is based most definitely on needs versus wants. We're addressing issues that could have and should have been addressed over a long period of time in terms of taking care of what's important and what's necessary to operate county government. And I applaud the commissioners. You know, the idea of coming up with a perfect plan. I don't know what a perfect plan would look like, and I think if you asked a couple of different people, they could pick apart different parts of the plan and say, this is the idea that we have, or this is the idea that I have, and you could argue it both ways. And I think, you know, we have to be careful to not let the pursuit of perfection get in the way of progress. And I think moving forward, to keep the progress, we've had a little progress in Porter County up till now, and I think it's incredibly important to keep that progress moving forward. So those are my comments.
The county council and the board of commissioners, Porter County government, we are literally about to embark on creating history in this state, literally. We are going to take on a $30 million bond to fix capital properties owned by the public, and we're not doing it with a single fee or tax that is collected inside this county. That, I don't believe, has ever been done. And I can't think of a better way to use the people's money, and that is to spend it on the properties that the people own.
Thank you very much. Any other discussion at this point? Andy, quick?
I got a couple questions as far as the timeline goes. When are we thinking about getting these projects done, started, completed? that kind of thing? I think we briefly discussed it, but if we can kind of go over it.
The front plaza would be as soon as possible, literally considering having a special meeting in the next couple of weeks to let that contract and have the bids come in. The bridge projects are already being engineered, those will be started immediately, and the rest of the projects would...
Mr. Goodbrook.
The rest of the projects would start in earnest, probably in the spring of next year.
I'm personally excited about this plan. I don't know for sure how to bring it up, but I guess Portage had sent us some information last night. And one of our council members asked them to go through a study, and they had SCH do it. And we've got some numbers here and whatnot, and they put some time and effort into this. Have you guys had a chance to review it or look at it yet?
We have.
And what are your guys' thoughts on the plan? Are you guys pursuing that all out, talking any further with them, or is it kind of, what was the next steps? I mean, this was something that was requested of them, and that's why I'm asking the question.
Sure. We've reviewed it. I won't speak for all, but I think I'll let them talk for themselves.
We reviewed it, Andy. As you know, we have spoke.
Yes, sir.
I don't believe there's anybody in the county council that spoke to about this. The commissioners have spent a lot of time and resources for studying this issue, the issue of the North Porter County Government Complex.
Thank you. Yeah, it has to be said.
And far and away, the most cost-effective approach that we can take in fixing that problem is renovating it and staying where we're at.
So were their numbers not correct? Because they were saying they were going to throw in $9 to $12 million, and it just seems like we would look at something like that.
No, their numbers are not correct.
That about sums that up. I don't want to argue it today. I don't know. That's what I think.
I mean, there was no study of what our needs were done. There were no, I mean, to sit down and put something together on a piece of paper and to send it to this group in the middle of the night before this bond is being heard is suspect number one. This has been discussed for over a year and a half, publicly, in many ways. And I think that, from our perspective, we're prepared to move forward. And our perspective it is nothing that is negotiable from our perspective. We put a lot of time and effort into this plan. We did look at that location. We did get some numbers, so I know when I say that the numbers are wrong, I know that for a fact because of the detailed deep dive we did into it. And, let's be clear. There were some things that have been said in the last couple meetings, or the last couple weeks, and some commitments that were made by the City of Portage administration that are, quite honestly, questionable. And I think at this particular point in time, I don't think that we're in a position to where we want to commit the county to some things here that just don't seem above board. And, that is our job up here, to make sure that we steer clear of these type of things. And so, that's the reply, at least from my perspective. I don't know if the other commissioners want to chime in, but that's where I think we're...
Well, I absolutely agree with everything Commissioner Good stated. The council should also understand, if the commissioners were going to embark on a true relocation study, I can guarantee you it would include the town of Chesterton, Burns Harbor, Porter, because if you look at the entire North County and what location would best, as far as location goes, would best serve the residents of North County, that building would be built, a new building would be built in the area where the hospital is at, with the bypass around 6. So if we were to embark on this, that's certainly what we would look at.
Thank you.
But we are looking, what is the most cost-effective approach that we can take? And it is a renovation.
I agree with that. We don't want to end up with a bond payment that is restricting us down the road. So the additional money could potentially do that, as well as the paperwork I got called for a partnership. I don't think what's happened in the last 24 hours is a good way to start a partnership. I have some real issues with that,
Thank you.
in addition to what they
No, and I want to be clear, I was not asking because I'm for moving it, I was just asking the question if there was discussion, so you guys answer that, thank you guys, I don't know.
Thank you.
And if I can, add into that, I was going to wait until maybe it passed on first reading to have the discussion on that. Again, I said, I agree that we got to do these projects. Didn't agree with all of it, and that was part of it. I think I've made my interest about it possibly moving downtown, local to you guys. I represent Portage, that's my district. Yes, all my votes are for the better of all of Porter County. Jim, I don't know if Commissioner Biggs, I don't know if I would agree with you, that would be the place to put it for the entire county. It is a North County annex building, so.
That is North County.
But, would that be the best place? I don't know, but that's a good question. Was it entirely looked at? Have we entirely looked at all options for that? You guys, you say you have, but this just didn't start overnight. I know I was having communications for probably well over a year, if not longer, from the city of Portage about, this. We asked you guys in meetings, have you started a study on the north building? So this isn't something that just happened overnight. It's been ongoing. And they were asked by, I believe, Mr. Jessen to provide some information, some numbers. And they did that. They did that in a hurry to get it because they knew this was being presented. So the city was just acting upon a request by the president of this board. So they did that overnight. But this just didn't all happen overnight. What's going on in Portage politically, I've heard the pause, I get it, and you guys know where I stand on the mayor of Portage. I've not been shy about that. But the entire population of Portage was not indicted, and they shouldn't be indicted. I'm just asking that they be, and I have all the time, be included in any conversation of any investment in that city. I'm glad that we're going to invest $10 million in there. They're claiming some of their numbers that they could bring to the table it would be the same amount of money. I've heard some good ideas. If we partner with the city of Portage downtown, a county city building, because they have $5 million allocated to renovating City Hall. That $5 million could go to the building, and then that opens that lot up for development. Our property, or 10-plus acres, whatever it is, on Willow Creek Road, if we were to move to downtown, that opens that up for development. So, there's some really good things that could happen out of us partnering in one building. It opens 2 other locations up for private development. And I know you guys have had conversations with some people from Portage. I have. I know other board members have. There has been dialogue, and I appreciate that. They have now, again, by the request of this board, provided additional information. So I would just ask that we take one more look at that as a group together to make sure that we've exhausted all options before, we go and do this. Again, I agree, we've got to do this stuff. We should, but as a representative from Portage, I'm asking you guys to make sure that they've now passed some additional information on that we communicate with them.
I think we can commit that we will thoroughly review the information they sent to us.
Commit reviewing it, but continue with the communication, until, obviously, the time's exhausted. But, they've reached out with additional information. Is there a way that you guys sit down with them? One of you guys sit down with, I know Andy Maletta has been kind of leading this. I don't know what.
Well, let's be clear, James has been the one leading charge, the mayor. And I can just tell you, I'm just going to be bluntly honest.
Please.
The answer is no.
No what?
We're not going to continue the talks with the city of Portage to move it downtown.
And because of why?
Because it's not in the best interest of the hotel totality of taxpayers in Porter County, Porter County. That's why, Jeremy.
They're offering.
It may be to the advantage of a handful of political insiders in Porter, but it is not to the advantage of the taxpayers of Porter County. We have selected the most cost-effective approach to this as we could possibly find.
And you've thoroughly studied that. You're saying that if you want to do a true study of where it should be, we might as well look at the whole county, but you said you didn't do that, again.
We
did
look at the downtown.
This conversation, it's not, and I know we want to always play the boogeyman, this is about, again, James Snyder or any insiders. No, this is about government services for the North County, within the largest municipality. They've offered, to partner with us and to bring more money to the table that we could partner in some kind of county-city complex.
That building does not exist for the sole purpose of serving the people of the city of Porter.
I didn't say that, North County.
That building was created to service the north portion of Porter County. And if we were to relocate it, any thought of relocating it would be put in a more central location than it is now. That would cost more money, whether it was on Central Avenue or on Route 6 or 149. We want to keep it there where it's at, on Willow Creek Road, because it's the most cost-effective approach.
Even with them throwing in the parking garage and the 9 to 12 million, though?
First of all, nobody can confirm that $5 million is real money. I've read articles in the paper as recently as 2 months ago where their clerk treasurer said that they have so many projects and not enough money to do it. So first of all, the funds that they're talking about, we have no idea whether they're there when we're ready to go. Second of all, this letter, the mysterious letter that came in the middle of the night, last night, was it even voted on? Was it even brought forward by the redevelopment commission? I'm guessing in the middle of the night, it probably wasn't. So truly, I take a look at what has gone on here, and, the paper, when you pull up the paper, it still smells like smoke. It still smells like the smoke-filled room that it was put together in. And we're not going to deal with these type of things up here. This is what's been wrong with this up here for some time. And our transparent approach and what we're trying to do here is we're trying to be open, we're trying to be honest, and we're trying to do the best thing for the taxpayers of Porter County. This is nothing but a sideshow. That's all this is. And we all know why it's a sideshow. So it is what it is. But I have issues with whatever you want us to study, because I do not think it is genuine. And I do not think it is backed by anything that they can put up. And I am not going to sit here and wait. We've already waited 28 years to fix this stuff that's in front of us right now. I'm not going to wait another 6 months. I'm done waiting. We have to move on this, and it was the best thing put forward. And like I'm saying, this whole Portage situation that played out in the last 2 weeks has been disappointing, and it reminds me of a snake oil salesman is what it reminds me of, and I don't appreciate it. We're up here trying to do the business of Porter County and moving this thing forward, and we're not going to be subject to these type of antics and these type of games, period, end of story.
I would like to make a comment that I'm an at-large person. I also represent 40 residents. I feel as if this came to us at the midnight hour. And quite truthfully, we're taking a vote, first reading on this, and I think we really need to move forward. The people of Portage are going to have a beautiful complex. It's going to be well thought of. I am a little bit disappointed and saddened that the people in charge waited so long to come up with this proposal. I wish it could have been sooner. Right now, I don't know if it's appropriate. And like Commissioner Good said, you know how long this study has taken for us to come to this time, and I think we really, government shouldn't be creating jobs. However, with what we're doing, we're not only going to be repairing and making things better for the people of Porter County, but we are going to make certain that we are, in a secondary way, we are creating jobs for our people here. And I feel as if they're going to be happy with what they're going to get. Some people won't be, and I'm very sorry that Portage has gotten themselves into the position that they are, and I think that will be resolved with time. And they're going to have a good future, and for one, I'm ready to vote on this.
Any other discussion before the vote? Okay, if not, let's have roll call, please.
Why not? Speak up, that's why they gave you one of these.
Yeah, well.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten? Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
6-0.
Motion carries.
So, we have one last thing we would like to discuss quickly, and then we'll get out of your way, is that back to the front plaza. Again, as we've attempted to not have situations where the commissioners approve something and the council doesn't know it and vice versa, we would like, I know we don't have anything officially on your agenda to be able to actually fund, and obviously we'd want to fund the $30 million with this plaza with a $30 million bond, but we would like to know, and we want to let you know that we are planning on letting this contract and getting that started, and we want to make sure the council's aware that obviously we're either paying for it with the bond, or we're going to have another funding source to do that with. But I think we all agree getting the plaza started as soon as possible is a priority. And I don't want anybody to be surprised if that happens, so if we end up,
You gotta do it earlier and come with another request, do it.
Okay.
A lot of concrete, winter is creeping up on us. Just for your openness and transparency, we did receive, we only had one bidder. It was advertised. We had many people show up to the bidding meetings, but we only received one bidding. We opened it. It was Garriott Construction. Our projected number was around $1 million, and with all the alternatives, which are four, the low only bid came in at $932,500. And we can talk to you about the big one in there is a $100,000 alternate, and that was for putting the hot water heat system in the ramp that the people can walk up and down, so we don't have to salt it. It will always be warm and melted. So that, if you don't want to do that, and whatever, we feel it's something that needs to be done, but if you could take $100,000 off of that, it'd be $832,000. But the main quote came in $793,500. So we have some alternates, which the irrigation system, which we're going to be reclaiming our own stormwater and using it to sprinkle our plants and everything else. So I can give you the individual breakdowns if you need them, but I just wanted to let you know that we're probably going to call a special meeting and let it and get this project moving.
Thank you.
That's the latest and greatest.
I'm okay if it came in under and you guys think that you need to add those things. I mean, you're talking about the ramps to be heated, so if somebody was in a wheelchair.
It's never going to be frozen.
I mean, it
Just the
makes
maintenance
sense.
we save alone on the ramp would be, and the cost of repairing concrete every 2 years.
And the long, it's just absolutely worthwhile to make,
There
have it all.
was a comment made, too, about these projects being some type of political pet project. I think that should be addressed. And I think that any of you in this room that would suggest that anyone here would have some drive to fix any of these particular buildings out of political need, that's just a lie. These buildings have been neglected for 20-plus years. There is no pet project here. If we don't maintain them, we will no longer be able to use them. Some of the courtrooms that we're actually using now currently are in violation of some statutes and laws. None of these jobs are coming before us because we want to do these jobs. It's required of us as a service to you guys. And so please, don't throw those insults at us. That's really not why we're here.
Was that just for informational purposes?
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to be surprised.
Yeah, we appreciate
We'll
that.
let you do
Thank you
your.
so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Hey, Scott. You can have drawn it.
Okay.
I'm just curious, I'm not going to do it.
As we...
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah. I thought you guys talking about the money.
We already did.
Payroll.
No.
You guys have a good day. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. Are we in recess?
Yeah, bathroom break. We take a 5-minute... 5-minute recess.
Yeah, they said, may or may not come in. The right thing has happened, so it really matters.
Yeah, I know. We watched good flowers. Yes, yeah, that's so sweet. How far you next time? Come tomorrow morning. Okay. Then he texted me after we got all the pictures, that's where he works. I'm like, okay. I know how the place will live with it. Oh, yeah, you do. You definitely do. So how's everything for you, okay? Okay. Yeah. So the real meeting hasn't started yet? No. Nope. So like, what time are we talking, 9, 10 o'clock?
No, it's, we're going to be quick.
Fine. How are you?
Good. Cindy, how are you?
Good.
We
won, though.
No, we won?
Yeah, my husband just texted me. He won.
See, it's all...
You won what?
Yeah. Oh, 6-3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What did you win?
Volleyball high school game.
The lottery?
No, I wish.
Tomorrow.
You won the lottery?
She won the lottery.
You didn't even have a...
I'm going home.
Bye, Samani. I'll give you guys a bond money, all right? People stop talking.
How did that end of the meeting stuff get to the free lady? How we got all that other stuff?
Because we had to alter the schedule for Councilman Whitten, that's why.
Yeah, the
What's up with budget? What's up with our budget hearings?
We,
You guys haven't submitted budget yet or not?
we have dates that, were, part of the packets, so those dates are now set.
Okay.
But the numbers, the fund numbers are wrong.
Oh.
Same one she gave us last night?
Was that for your packet time?
Yeah.
So that's the current.
But in the past, we've submitted a budget. Was that not done this year? We didn't get anything.
So you didn't submit anything?
No.
You have a budget to submit?
We'll have it ready tomorrow.
I'm suggesting.
We never got an email or
It's really
anything.
gonna change.
Let's find out what, from her, what.
And I kept saying to Sunday, don't we, we're sitting here, we have that budget in by now?
Yeah.
No, you don't have your budget in, do you?
No.
No.
Nobody told us.
No, they put those letters, you put those letters
Yeah, I
out
thought so.
twice. Those letters came out twice,
Never received that.
because he wanted to clarify one thing.
Well, clarify, they couldn't clarify anything because we never submitted one to...
Nick's never got a request to submit a budget.
Well, it shouldn't change too much.
No.
From last year, so, I mean.
Because you let us keep our election board budget.
So it should, nothing should.
You know, the
That's
thing
right.
is, you should get a copy of what they posted out, because I know you put them out.
Well, I think, Joy,
Who put a request out
For the...
I'm looking to see if I can find us.
It has to be you guys.
It's like we're not on here.
I'd like to see the email that we were included and we didn't...
That's exactly right. Because I'm supposed to go out.
I'll see if Vicki did it.
We're not even
on it. Hang it down.
I would love to see this thing.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm sure you guys have jobs to work out.
Oh, wait, here.
That's it.
Where's your people at?
So this is our,
Yeah, that's the schedule.
great, good.
Yeah, kind of had tentative one last meeting, kind of gave it to, our foundation meeting, gave it to everybody, and everybody said, okay, all
Great,
fine.
good.
Awesome. No input, we'll just go forward.
Well, I don't know, from what I understand.
We signed nothing.
No, from what I understand was just basically submit what you had. Unless you had, unless you have to make changes, you're supposed to get together with the liaison.
It's hard to even hear.
Well, you can have a collaborative, you can have a cooperative effort.
Yep.
Meet to discuss.
Yep.
Oh, good,
It's done.
yeah, I don't know.
I know.
It took a long time until we decided to do
Yeah.
something.
Came up with a antics.
Yeah.
Basically, all the 10 members. Where's our people?
But then, I don't know.
You rally the troops, please.
No direction.
Larson, Reed.
Yeah, the only one we're missing is Rita.
We went to get the letter that she sent.
Okay. Well, everybody should have got it, right?
Yeah.
What, with the letter for the minutes?
No, the letter, that's
Oh.
Mike? There you go.
Getting a wedge sitting in there.
Ready to go? Did you hear me gavel you?
Yeah.
Where's Sylvia going?
I made him. I'm not going anywhere.
Why'd you gavel me?
No, right here.
For groveling.
Where's this guy? He's the youngest.
He had to use the bathroom.
That's what I mean.
Got enough, right? Okay, we'll continue on with the meeting. First, getting back to the regular monthly agenda items. First on the list, we have a request from the Commissioner's Office, which they are obviously in a post-meeting conference.
Move to approve.
Say that publicly.
Motion on the floor that has a second to approve the additional, from the hospital interest fund to pay $16,250 to Capital Cities for the second quarter contractual services. Any discussion?
These people are making us a lot of money, and I'm very happy with them. I think we should pay them.
Suggest we should pay them more, or no?
Very nice,
No,
Sylvia.
pay them.
All those have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Witten. Councilmember Conover.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
And Councilmember Bozick.
Where is he?
Councilmember Bozick is absent.
Did he leave?
No, he didn't.
He doesn't.
He's in the little boys' room?
Okay.
No, I.
Motion carries, yes?
5-0.
Someone want to track, Scott, you want to track him down, or somebody track him down, please?
All right, let's keep rolling.
Okay, next we have IT.
We'll get down to the votes we want. I think I'm outnumbered.
Good evening.
How are you?
Good, great. Okay, since they're in the room, we'll...
I never left.
Okay, Councilmember, I'm speaking for IT right now. As you probably are aware, last year, a committee was formed to study a possible upgrade to our financial and payroll system, and we were also asked by the Commissioner's Office to look at a time and attendance system as part of the overall project. We went forward with the payroll and financial upgrade. The conversion is now completed. We now have new software, and so we recently resumed looking at the time and attendance system. And recently, the commissioners endorsed going forward with the Right Stuff company for the time and attendance system, and we are here before you tonight because it was suggested that IT would put the funding in IT's budget because of the technical issues involved. This is computer software that would affect county-wide offices. And so the cost with the Right Stuff for the entire county is, the acquisition of the software is $40,000 one-time cost, plus the ongoing maintenance cost of $3,600 per month. Correct. I'm sorry, $9,000 for the...
3 months would be $3,000.
Right.
9,000 for 3 months?
Hold on, 36,000 a year?
Yeah, what does that cover?
On the maintenance?
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yes.
Wow. Why so much?
This is maintenance of software. It's...
Hold on, can you explain what this, how this will work?
That seems
Okay, yes.
exorbitant money.
What this would do is employees would clock in through the system.
How?
On the computer, and if they don't have a computer, as part of their regular duties, they could use a virtual that's set up, or the proposal is to actually purchase 3 of the time clocks, and these would be purchased on a pilot basis to begin with at the highway department facilities. And that's because they tend not to have computer access as part of their normal duties. But the committee felt that the rest of the county would have adequate exposure to the computer system. So what this would do is it would have the employees clock in, keep track of their time that's worked. It would also have an automatic tracking system for their leave time, such as vacation, sick days, personal days, and comp time days accrued or taken. For individual departments, right now, how we get the leave time is that departments have to go into the system and record the leave time themselves manually, and we get the information from the departments. This is a software, so it would be an automatic upload to our office. What am I missing here?
So who would all, obviously elected office holders wouldn't be on this, but everybody else below them, every single employee?
We know that the commissioners will have to address some of these issues in terms of
Policies and procedures.
Policies,
and hourly versus
procedures.
salary. and-
Right, exempt, non-exempt.
So they'd create a policy. I mean, and the sheriffs obviously wouldn't be part of this, I wouldn't.
Oh, they absolutely
They
will.
would?
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
in their vehicles? I mean, once they got on, is that?
The sheriff's department has been largely, I guess, I think it's fair to say that they're not here tonight. The one day they're not here before the council. But they are in dire need of a fix with their payroll recording system. Their current system, I don't really want to speak for them, but we get it on a file that we have to manipulate and adjust in order to fit into our system. And it's a lot of work on our part, it's a lot of work on their part, and they absolutely are in need of enhanced software for their timekeeping system.
Well, you probably have 1 or 2 people physically putting somewhere how many employees and their time, and their this and their that. It has to be a huge, huge labor fluff to do that. So this would cut that out for them too.
I guess to follow up on Jeremy's question, I would also ask the same question, is that did we have, comparably, have you guys looked at other software programs, and this is a typical fee for that amount of service that we're going to receive? It's roughly $3,600 a month, is that what I'm together, $3,000 a month?
Yes,
Now, is that them monitoring the system and then turning the information into us? Is that what they're doing? So they're eliminating a bookkeeping step for us? Is that?
Well, with any software purchase, there's annual maintenance.
Right,
There's
right,
maintenance.
licensing and everything.
We have maintenance with our LAO system, both for property tax and financial. We have maintenance on our
And I know the system's
program that-
complicated, I get that. I was just wondering, is
If we could justify another step where maybe we're, not adding an additional burden, and they're actually removing a burden, I could understand more of the costs associated with that.
Last year, we included the time and attendance system as part of the RFPs that went out as part of the financial and payroll system. We did get several proposals back, and the committee narrowed down the proposals to 2. It's very similar to the process that was undertaken, like when we were selecting the CPA firm at the foundation. And then we saw live demonstrations from the 2 companies that were the finalists. In terms of additional, the costs, I think it's hard to say that we were comparing apples to apples for each of these companies because they were proposing very different products. Like one company was proposing physical time clocks everywhere. In this particular case, we were not focusing on the time clocks, we were more focused on the software. But just to give you an example of the costs that we had, one company was a cost of between $75,000 to $96,000 for the one-time cost. That happened to be the right stuff, and we have since whittled it down to $46,000 because we aren't really purchasing the time clocks. Another company was at upwards of $138,000 one-time cost. Now, another company had a one-time cost that was considerably lower, but the annual maintenance was $60,000 a year. So if we just look at the annual maintenance, $36,000 for Right Stuff. Other maintenance ranged from a low of $6,000, but again, the one-time cost was quite a bit higher, to $24,000 to $59,000.
Well, Vicki, do you see cost recovery in this product? Because normally they give you a study if they're presenting a product and they say, okay, we're going to save $110,000 in lost wages because you're using my software. Is there something that's been similar to that they make a claim to that, or? I'm just trying to see where we are with this. This is a lot of money to spend on just a timekeeping system, so.
Right.
This is a lot of money.
In terms of enhanced accountability and transparency,
Right.
I think one of the commissioners said at their meeting that they're not aware of any other entity as large as us that does not have a timekeeping.
I would agree, we need some kind of timekeeping. I agree.
Who's that on this committee?
I have. The original committee consisted of representatives from HR, IT, the Sheriff's Department, and E911, and the Auditor's Office. Now, we don't have anyone staffed in HR. So when the committee sort of regrouped, we kept the same people, and then at the the same departments. And then at the last meeting, when we started looking at this a little bit more closely, now that we have the financial system in place, we invited the Highway Department to sit in on it.
Did the commissioners already sign this agreement?
Contingent upon county council approval.
I have a question. It says licensing and support for up to $3,000 per month for 750 users. How many users do we currently have, and will we soon be over that amount?
It won't be over that amount. It will be under that amount. We have approximately 600 full-time people. Now, will everyone be using it? That will be up to the commissioners to decide which officers will be required to participate.
And is this something you guys could do in-house? Do you guys have programmers to do stuff like this?
No, we don't have the expertise.
Thank you.
How do the different departments do it now?
Various ways with limited, if any, accountability.
My question, we need this, long overdue.
Yep, it is.
I remember Mike
I motion we
Buckles.
accept it as written.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a second to accept
It's expensive.
Thanks, Vic, for your explanation.
for the approval of the additional $9,000 for the maintenance and technical support agreement and the $40,000 for the initial cost for the Right Stuff software. Any additional discussion? If not, we'll have roll call, please.
Before the roll call, I would just like to offer to reduce the additional appropriation by $10,000. Last year, when I was budgeting for the financial and payroll system, I tried to budget, I don't know if it's liberally or conservatively, but I tried to budget for the worst-case scenario. And we didn't know fully what the financial and payroll system would, we had the quotes, obviously, but would there be contingencies? Would there be additional training that we would need?
Vicki, so what are you saying? We can take, the motion would be $10,000
I
less?
would
She's
use
gonna give us
10,000
$10,000.
out of my existing budget, and so we can reduce the additional, meaning that we reduce the burden on the...
Well, I'm not sure if we're going to accept that, but the
Okay.
motion accepts it, and the second accepts it.
Wait a minute, I'm going to amend my motion to include the reduction of the $10,000 that Vicki had forwarded to us.
Right, so we'll just take
Very
10,000
good.
out of our
Change
existing
it.
appropriation,
Second.
30,000 in the kids with the 9,000.
Calm down.
Okay, very good, Vicki, thank you. Can we have roll call, please?
Yes, Councilmember Jessen,
Yes.
Councilmember Witten, Councilmember Conover.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham,
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes,
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
And Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
thank you, Vicki.
6-0.
You could
And
tell
you-
us that up front.
And you- I'm sorry, and you may have heard that as
Commissioners
part
already
of the time and attendance system, we need to make a change in our pay dates. We're going to bring the two schedules in sync with each other, and that will necessitate a moving of the pay dates, one pay date per pay period.
And obviously that you are going to send a letter out to all employees.
Oh, we're going to
Them,
really,
any
really
changes in
advertise.
paydays?
Yes, yes.
And policies.
Was
to
that
the
payday moved
commissioners.
forward, so it won't incur any issues for them, or it's going to be a backwards pay?
It's going to be moving forward, so it will cause
Undue hardship?
a hardship to the extent that a one-day delay in pay would,
We'll notify them of that ahead of time?
Yes.
Okay.
but we're hoping to time it with something else that's on your agenda later today.
Longevity?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, animal shelter.
I motion to accept it.
Second.
Motion on the floor, this second, for an additional $8,000 to contractual from the Animal Shelter Donation Fund. Any discussion?
That works for me. So are you helping with that?
Yes, we're going to be doing the same thing that we did for the Expo Center and that we're just about finishing doing with the Opera House. This is going to make,
You think we can put our county attorney on there, see if he can get adopted?
Councilwoman or the...
Mr. Harper, I mean,
he's so quiet.
Good evening, Mr. McClure.
the nice thing is it's extremely mobile friendly, which
Nice.
where they're currently located, it's not, and I think it's going to help to increase.
You sold me already.
Well, plus it's coming out of donations,
Yeah.
$10,000 sitting over at the community.
Call.
You just,
That's another good
Over
example.
to the
you just,
donation.
Another good reason.
you just found it, that's nice.
It was theirs.
Any additional discussion?
No.
We're good.
If not, roll call, please.
Okay, Councilmember Witten is absent. Councilmember Conover.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
6-0.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Yep, have a good evening. Recorder.
The recorder had a family emergency tonight.
Motion to pass. Motion to
Second.
Okay.
Motion on the floor that has a second for an additional $10,000 to data processing equipment coming out of the Recorder's Perpetuation Fund. Any discussion?
Say that word several times quickly.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conover.
Yes.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick.
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas.
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen.
Yes.
Councilmember Witten is absent, 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer. Good evening.
Hi, Treasurer.
This additional is just asking to move money out of the tax sale fund into my budget so that I can pay the invoices for SRI.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a couple of seconds for an additional $31,931 coming out of the tax sale fees fund to the contractual services account. Any discussion?
Do we still have additionals coming up after that, or is there another sale proposed, or is that not till next year?
I kind of estimated to get us through this tax sale in October,
Okay,
but the way people redeem throughout the year, it
right,
lingers.
affected it. Okay, very good, thank you.
Any other discussion? Not, roll call, please.
Councilmember Graham.
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Witten? And Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Thank you, Madam Treasurer.
Motion to approve both the surveyor
Second
perpetuation
that.
fund request.
Motion on the floor that has a second for both of the requests from the Surveyor Perpetuation Fund for additionals.
So now
Any discussion?
Now we're paving all these roads and you're ticked off because the roads are good.
No, we're very careful, hoping these things in.
I got it.
For the opportunity to be on TV.
How does it- does the monument box have anything in it that's scannable, or is it just a box? What's a monument?
No,
box?
inside
It's a little
of
tiny
monument,
If you ever get out of your house.
I got 4 kids, just had one.
Legal box to play
I
with.
think it's like your safety deposit box, all their goodies are
So
stored.
they fit over the top, and a lot of times the monuments are not seeking HSD. We don't want surveyors digging up those new roads. So if they can just open the lid of this
Yep.
box, they can look down.
Yep, it's nice. Protects the monument.
You're gonna show me what a monument is.
I will, I'll take you out and show you how to do that.
We got lots of.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Not, roll call, please. This is on both of the requests.
Andy, you don't have to take this.
He does, he's wearing a bow tie, come on.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you. Memorial
For that
House.
tour.
This guy's tearing it up over there.
He's a sharp dresser.
Move to
You
approve.
haven't asked any of us to be in any of those
Is that all?
things that are going
Only Dan.
on.
All three requests?
open anytime.
Okay. Motion to approve all three.
Yes.
As written.
Councilman Bozak, second, is the second, and this is for all three of the requests. Any discussion?
Yeah, the $70,000 to contractual services and architects and engineers. What are we doing here? What are we thinking about?
Sure. We were approved by a grant by the Department of Natural Resources, $35,000 reimbursable match grant. Memorial Opera House Foundation has committed to the additional $35,000, so we don't have to take it out of our operating budget. And this allows for us to create architectural and engineering plans for the restoration of our building, which interestingly enough, 60 years ago yesterday is when that started with Marshall Weinstein, who was the head of Chicago Community Theater Guild and the commissioners. So long overdue, and I'm very, very excited about this.
Congratulations on the grant and all the match.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks for not.
Which then we should anticipate some costs coming in later.
Yes, absolutely. This will allow us to figure out how we want to tackle each of those things and how we want to phase things out for restoration of the building. So what's
Very good.
priority?
Okay.
Any additional questions on any of the three requests?
Maybe if,
Go ahead, go there.
no.
Go for it.
Sometimes they just like,
Go ahead, man.
Trying to trade for lead role in the upcoming
I will say one thing. We did have an audit today, and you should be aware of how much you're spending, on grants and that's, not to go over, so that, because we are being watched on that very carefully.
Yes.
You get a grant, make sure you get the money and get it in there.
Any additional?
good advice, Sylvia.
Oh, I was listening.
Yep, that's exactly what we heard. Any additional questions, comments? If not, we'll have roll call. This is for all three requests.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
And Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
6-0.
Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Nice job on the grant.
Parks and Rec.
Sounds like a TV show.
Motion to approve the additionals.
I'll second the motion to approve additionals.
Motion on the floor that has a second to approve the three additionals listed on tonight's agenda.
Okay.
It's all three, is that correct, on the motion second?
Yeah. Sylvia has a question.
Discussion, please.
Yeah, I do have a question. What I just got through talking with, Vicki, can you tell us what's the balance on some of these grant funds? I think we were advised that they might be low.
Okay, the coastal management grant has a balance of $1,084. And then the Parks Grant Fund, $81.53, and has a balance of, $3,077.
This does not reflect the collection that was made yesterday.
Okay.
So there was a $5,000 check that was deposited into 8153 yesterday, and a $10,000 check that was deposited into 9102 yesterday.
So there's money in those.
Yep,
Okay. And
guaranteed.
one more
Go ahead.
question. Just, so when we're voting, we know this, that, on this general fund, the money's being taken out of our general funds for, building and structures. My problem, or my question is, this isn't a large amount of money, and I'm all for parks and that, and I will vote yes on this. However, if every department came to us needing things out of the general fund, it would be, at some point, we will say no to that. I would say no to that, just to let you know that. The one you're having here is out of our general fund, right?
Correct, but we're transferring funds from another line item to that line, so we're not asking for any additional dollars. My understanding is that you still need to do an additional.
Is that right, Vicki?
Not the way it's written.
No, if you're not asking for an additional, we could just do the transfer.
Then just do the transfer, then remove the
However,
additional.
I have a question about the transfer, because there's two transfers out of the same line item.
Right.
Oh, that should be the workers' comp line item.
Okay, that's what we
Yep,
thought.
yep.
One was building and liability,
And
and
the
the
other
other
one's
is
workers' comp.
Because workers' comp has that $7,000 in it.
Yep.
Okay,
Withdraw my motion for the general fund
okay.
additional.
So there's no additional. Okay, good, thank you.
My
Thank
motion
you.
stands for the
Thank
first
you.
two.
The second agree to withdraw the third portion of the, okay, so on the table at this particular point, we're talking about the two additionals for the first two, Parks Grant Fund and the Coastal Management Grant Fund. Any additional discussion on those two?
Although, Walter, I was prepared to support parks.
I am too.
But we are not sure where we are on that coastal management grant, on a total value, because you put that up there, we only have $1,800 in there, and he said he deposited $5,000. So we're only at
Okay, we did not yet record the deposit.
We're about 6,800.
Didn't he say 10,000 in the coastal management, or was that?
Yep, 8153 received a $5,000 deposit yesterday, and 9102 received a $10,000 deposit yesterday as well.
Okay.
So it was 10.
Yep, those are in there, correct.
Any additional discussion on those two? Yeah, roll call, please.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
And Councilmember Bozak?
Yes.
Okay, 6-0.
Yep.
So, I'm confused.
Yeah, someone needs to explain where we're at on this next.
General fund,
This
we're not
transfer.
doing
So
it.
between those two line items, the building liability and the workers' comp, between those two line items, there's going to be a balance by the end of the year of $10,038.
Okay.
The estimate that Anton gave us last year for those two line items in totality is $10,038 over what our premiums have been for 2017. So rather than having that disappear into the ether at the end of the year, Park Board and I are requesting to transfer those to building and structures to see if we can do a couple of things at the tail end of the year.
So it is not an additional coming out of the general fund.
Do we need
No,
to move
correct.
it right now, though, Walt?
I would prefer, yeah, I mean,
Motion to transfer the
we
money.
move at the speed of local
We're sure we're
government.
not going to owe any additional liabilities on these contracts.
I can, yeah, I've asked Anton 3 times, our contact there, and they said, nope, you paid your premiums for 17, you're done. So.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Yes, motion on the floor and a second, and this is to transfer $10,038, and I assume 56 cents probably, to those two accounts, to 3620 Building and Structures. Any additional discussion?
Well, is it our money, or what, Vicki?
It was set aside for their insurance premium.
Okay.
So
We're
it
not
was
gonna
it
do
was
it.
already designated to the park. It's just, we're just making sure that that money can be utilized and not
Thank
just
you.
wasted in the insurance.
Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Okay, and this is any other discussion? Transfers, it's a transfer, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Very comfortable.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to approve the riverboat.
Thanks so much.
Fund additional.
Motion on the floor, does have a second for the next item on the agenda?
Motion to approve longevity pay for our employees.
Second.
There they are.
Second.
Motion on the floor, that is a second for the longevity pay for the employees coming out of the Riverboat Fund, as stated on the agenda. Any discussion?
Nope.
It's in the Riverboat Fund, I'm just curious, and I'm for it, just asking.
Right now, in the Riverboat Fund, we are totally in the red. But that's because we have...
Just leave it there.
We went on the rim, should have gone on black.
Yeah. No. What comes out of the Riverboat Fund is the $250,000 appropriation for the undercover expenses, which is now under the auspices of the sheriff, used to be prosecutor, plus longevity when the funds are available. But we sort of have received our Riverboat distribution.
What is that?
We received the Riverboat distribution from the state, but it was incorrect. But it was incorrect, and we anticipate getting a slight bump up, and we're waiting for the additional monies, and in the meantime, the state has asked counties not to do anything with the Riverboat monies that they just received until they get it corrected.
That's why it's in the red.
But we think we received a little bit less than what we should. Once we get that money posted, like you just heard from Walter, we have not yet posted that revenue, so that's why the fund is shown. Once we show that, then we'll be in the black again, and we believe we'll have enough for the longevity bonuses, but we don't yet know how much we'll have for FICA and PERF, how much that will cover, so we'll probably have to cover FICA and PERF out of the general fund. We advertised for it just in case.
What was that check amount that was wrong? Or can you not say? Was it over $170,000 or?
Oh, yes, it was, 400 and some $1,000.
Look at you smiling over there. Thank you, guys.
Right.
Okay. Any other discussion, questions? If not, roll call, please.
Councilmember Justin?
Yes.
Councilmember Conover? Yes. Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozak?
Yes.
And Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
0.
Okay, very good, thank you. In the spirit of rewarding the people who've been so patient, I'd like to have the election board come up now, if you could, please.
Did you say take a break?
Oh, wait.
Can we just say, go ahead and do that?
They'd like to explain it to us that way, or at least tell us a little bit about it.
We'll get it.
like these chairs.
Good evening, council members. My name is David Banks. I'm the president of the election board, if you don't know who I am. After the election cycle completed last year, we started a kind of a review of the entire process. And as part of that review, just to summarize, is to look at equipment. So what we're in front of you tonight is is the approval to move forward on a request for proposal of exploring new equipment and what the vendors have to offer to us and what their costs are going to be and the advantages of their different products that they're going to offer. Kathy and Sunday have been doing a lot of work and being very diligent on exploring the different vendors and machines that are available to us. And I'll let them kind of give you some additional information, but at this point, we're kind of just starting the process. This is going to be the exploratory part of reaching out to the different vendors that are certified by the state election board and exploring the different machines that are available to us. So that's where, basically, this is the first step.
Yep.
So.
And the commissioners are well informed and aware, as we are now also.
Correct.
Well
Yes, we met them last week.
Now we're coming, talking to you guys.
It's been, what, 13 to 15 years since we've really...
Like 13 next year, yeah.
2005. Okay, I have a question. May I?
Oh, Councilman
Grant. I have a question. Where is this new equipment going to be stored? Because if I recall, there was a tremendous amount of problems or controversy.
We mentioned that to the commissioners also, that if we do get new equipment, where the old equipment is now being stored is not going to be.
Is not adequate.
It's not a secure area or what?
It's not temperature controlled.
So what did they tell you?
All the new machines are fitted, of course, they're computers.
But they're much smaller.
In that same line, are we reducing the amount of sites we're going to provide? Are we staying with the same?
We're looking
amount?
at the whole process.
We're
We're
looking at
hoping
all
to,
the
yep,
stuff. Okay.
we're hoping to streamline it a little bit more and
Part of a comprehensive.
One
review of
thing that I
program.
know that the, at least people that I have talked to, they want to make certain that there is a paper trail. And we have had previous recounts, and they've been good. Now, I've been told that there is a paper trail with this. However, that machine that gives you this paper trail, what if it jams? Is there another way to get the information off of it?
Well, we're just
We don't know.
asking a proposal.
We don't have an exact product yet. This
I'm
is-
sorry, you're right.
Yeah, we haven't
Okay.
chosen.
We wouldn't accept anything less, Sylvia.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know how I...
yeah, we just, this, like you said, this equipment's gonna be 13 years old next year. We just need to bring this process into the future here. Kevin and I've looked at a lot of equipment at conferences. They just have lots of stuff out there for us to play with, and then one company brought it into our office and left it for a month so we could play with their equipment and everything, so. It just, the old equipment, it's no longer feasible for what we do. The workload that we're putting into it now, it's not handling it well. We're starting to see problems, and with this being an off year, this is the perfect time to start looking at what our other options could be. I'm sure of those of you that were up for election in 2016, that were sitting there election night, wondering where those results were at, that weren't coming in, because we were dealing with our old machines and trying to get our
Well,
votes put through and in, so.
But, you know, like
We're hoping to
it's,
get new what?
like it's been said in the
Yeah.
past, though, voting should be a little bit arduous maybe, or a little bit of a problem. I think didn't you say that there are 10 other counties waiting to buy our equipment?
Well, I'd like to talk about that. This equipment was purchased in 2005, and when it was done, they did a contract, they bought the equipment outright. We have yearly maintenance fees on it. I appreciate the commissioners entrusting Sunday night to do this work, because we work with this equipment. We know the equipment. So we appreciate that them and you would respect whatever Sunday night runs back. Together, we have over 25 years of service doing the election. When the original equipment was purchased, the commissioners did it, they signed it off and that, but in doing a renegotiation of the contract, I'd like to state that our pricing for our current equipment, our maintenance services, Sunny and I together have maintained, and I've broken a couple of their arms, but we've maintained 2003 pricing, okay? Our pricing is still at 2003 for supplies that we need. But in one of the contract renegotiations, I asked for a buyback. Should down the line we want to buy new equipment, would they put in that new contract, if we renewed with them, would they put in a buyback clause? They agreed to it, to purchase back, everything back from us at fair market value.
It's also been placed into the bid proposal that we're hoping to get out, that whatever companies
Okay.
that want to bid on our project, that buyback will be included in that, towards the purchase of the equipment.
Has there been limitations on the terms, like the length of service? Is it, because the commissioners are trying to stay away from auto renewals, so like a 3 to 5 year renewal process?
Four-year election cycle.
Also, some of you council members might remember that last year, typically in an election, non-election year such as this, you would zero out our budget. The election board budget would go to zero, no elections. But then we always had a special. We haven't had an off year since 2009. So you allowed us to keep that election board budget. We did have some contracts with the SMS on the off year too, for our service, but we have roughly in that budget $440,000. This new equipment's not going to be cheap. It's going to be probably around the same as what 2005 was, if Sunday night have anything to do. But we're asking in the bid proposal that they give us a straight buyout, a payment over years. If you do it over the years, you're going to pay more for it that way. But just know that right now, if it works out, we're going to come to you. We're going to need the money, and you're going to have to figure out how you want to pay for it. But right now in our budget, Vicki, how much do we have in the election board?
In election board, unexpended, $467,700.
So that's, over $500,000 to go towards the new stuff.
Well, I also wanted to commend your department for coddling this old machinery. It's been workable, and we maybe have a resale value on it, and that's because you've taken such good care of it.
Thank you.
And so we
Done
did
well.
discuss, it cannot, any new equipment cannot go back. We have another room downstairs we call the morgue. And we've talked to the commissioners about this, and they didn't really give us a good answer, so we want to ask you. Down there is stored our voting booths. Sunday night, applied and received a $25,000 grant 2 years ago, and we bought new privacy booths.
Right.
We use our control. We don't need them, so we're putting that in a proposal for whoever bids to buy that back from us. We also have the very old privacy booths.
Votomatic.
With the light bulbs and the aluminum. We haven't used them in the last 8 elections. They're sitting down there, and we keep getting dinged by the fire marshal because they're taking up this whole room. The sheriff, we know, is going to have a sale, so we asked about it, could we put these aluminum privacy booths? My fear is that you're going to get somebody at that auction, I'll give you $2. The price of aluminum is up there.
Right.
So I guess, is it you that we ask for permission? Sunday and I both have trucks, we'll take one of you with us. We'd like to go to the scrapyard, get the money and give it back to.
It'd be better to do it that
Maybe
way.
that's getting rid of an asset, probably would fall in the commissioners, under the commissioner's realm.
Harold,
That'd be-
that's up your.
I was, my 2 cents on that is because that's an executive function. I mean,
Well, they said to go ahead and contact the sheriff's office and stuff too, so, but that
Yeah.
way you guys are aware and everything.
I mean, I would think that would be an executive function. The commissioners would have to make that decision. I mean, certainly we could.
I would ask maybe the State Board of Accounts on that one, too. I don't know.
They don't like you just taking stuff and getting cash?
Yeah.
No, they only gave me $1, can you believe it?
But my fear is if it goes to auction, and somebody's out there
You're
knowing
right.
the price of
They'll give you a
aluminum,
quarter.
Yeah.
They're gonna bid $2 when it's worth that.
Can you put a minimum bid?
How old are those?
Pardon me?
How old are those?
Oh, minimum, 30 years.
I mean, there may be some collectors, historic value for that stuff, so maybe we're looking into that.
I'd suggest, work that out with the commissioner's office,
Okay.
frankly.
American Pickers.
But that's where our new stuff could go, in that room.
I'm surprised.
We clear that out, we think that we'll have at least enough room to put whatever the computer portion.
Where is this
of
room
the
at?
machine would be.
In your place?
Basement.
Hey, Sylvia, I think you're gonna get one of those.
No. We're gonna give you a copy to the museum.
I've talked to commissioners, and I would ask the State Board of Accounts for a recommendation on that one. I mean, to just
Probably not a bad idea to
get
cover
them.
your backside and make sure
Well,
that all
I'm
your
sure if it's
keys
30
are...
years old, it's probably been zero.
They don't even know where it's at.
I mean, just awesome.
It's in a place called the morgue, they don't know it's
Just
there.
throwing county equipment in your truck and going down to the scrapyard.
Hey, I'm telling you.
Probably voting equipment, that's
Yeah.
what
We
the.
could have been your asking for forgiveness. That was my ask for forgiveness. So that's what we're doing for a minute.
That would be an internal control issue, and again, that's.
Yes.
So is that,
And
is
this
that
is,
1.3 to 1.5 we're looking at again? Is that somewhere where we were last?
that's about,
Election equipment?
election equipment.
Yes. I know Marion County in 2015, they got 300 machines for 1.4.
How many do we need?
We're hoping to ask for, well, we want a central tabulation counter. Absentees have been sent out to the polling locations. We want to have them counted in office now, so there's more control, not getting sent to the wrong one.
Workers were overwhelmed last year receiving
Take some
300
of those.
absentees at a precinct.
Sure.
Take some days off our poll workers.
What's the annual cost? I mean, like licensing and stuff we talked about.
We don't know, that's what we need to put the bid out for, yeah.
We are, okay,
We're
gotcha,
looking
gotcha.
for the
Yeah.
equipment.
Give an estimate.
Right now, what do we pay, about 100, a little over 100,000.
A year? Wow.
And of course, it's
Sure seems like it should be reduced with newer equipment.
No, you guys start the licensing, the coding, and everything.
It depends, yeah.
The number of
But that's what
equipment
we're
to
putting.
determine that.
and the integrity and not to be hacked and.
Yep. The tabulating machines are not connected to the internet. The only thing connected to the internet would be the e-poll books again, which the only thing on those e-poll books is public information. It's your name, your address, and your signature, anything you can come down to our office and ask us for, so.
And there is a paper-
That's just a check-in process. All the machines that we have been, like, researching, there's still a paper trail.
Yeah, that's part of it, the RFP, is that it does have a
So that's
paper.
a-
Must be Russian-proof, Russia-proof.
That's in there.
Russia has to.
This is something, we have an election, filing starts in January. So this is something that we want, we're just gonna get out there, and we wanna look at it and then come to you and say, okay, look at it, we have the 460,000. How do you?
What do you need from us, Harold? You guys need a motion?
No, they don't need anything.
What is the estimated time to get these units and to get them in place? I mean,
We're gonna get the bid out as soon as possible. Our election board attorney's working on that right now, and then we're gonna keep it open for 30 days. And then at the end of the 30 days, then we're gonna start going through the bids.
So we're looking
and
at
bringing
October?
stuff in. Hopefully October, early November at those very
We're just
latest.
trying to schedule.
Yeah, figuring what time to train on this stuff, and we don't wanna be rushed
Good
through the
idea,
election
know
process.
that.
Well, let's put
One
it
of the
down.
bids, we're gonna ask them to bring their stuff in. One vendor did, and it was down in their office for about 3 weeks. So some people came down and looked at it, but
I didn't
whoever
know that.
does submit a proposal, we're gonna ask them to bring their wares down to our office.
Vicki volunteered to find it at 1:45.
Let us know if we come in.
So, is that all? From our perspective, we appreciate being included in the discussion, as well as you guys going to the commissioner's office as well, and then also coming together collaboratively to say that we want to do something that's going to set Porter County up.
Do you need a formal
So I
motion to
appreciate it.
approve?
No, they don't.
No, okay.
It is
Well, thank
efficient.
you, thank you.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that refreshing?
Yeah, that was
Very
good.
We've been down this road a little bit, haven't we?
We've been here, we've been before.
Learn our lesson.
So we appreciate the information.
So, next time we come back, we'll actually have something to show you.
No, we'll actually have a bill for you.
Yeah, maybe probably a bill too.
Hey, I'm up for election next year, so you're gonna get a yes vote out of the best.
As long as that machine goes in his favor.
That's on video, right?
Have a good evening. Thank you. Okay.
This levy thing?
Vicki, second reading.
You already did the levy?
You have a good night, thank you. Let me ask a question real fast of Harold, not you, in terms of the capital improvement bond, that then will be, a second reading will be on our agenda for next month?
Yes, and actually, one of the things I was going to raise at the attorney's report is the proposed ordinance for the stormwater bond, given that the second reading was waived. It's going to be circulated, if everyone can make sure that before they leave, they sign that today. And then the ordinance on the capital improvements will be on the next.
As you said, we're getting the second reading, I just was looking for clarification.
Yes. And
Mr. Harper, can you pass out that form?
Yeah, and I think it went down this way and it's going to come back this way.
Yeah, it's here. You need it, Harold?
Well, we just
Make
need to
sure
go this
everybody
way
signs
now.
Oh.
I don't know if
Okay.
Andy didn't sign it, probably.
Okay, here.
He was out of the room.
Just me?
Oh, bring it, Patty, we gotta come down.
Jeremy, was that all the question you had at this point?
We get second reading, you know.
Do I have?
Okay, second reading.
Whereas it has been determined that it is not necessary to appropriate more money than was appropriated in the annual budget, therefore be it ordained resolved by the Porter County Council of Porter County, Indiana, that for the expenses of the taxing unit, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated out of the funds named and for the purposes specified, subject to the laws governing the same. General fund, a total of $39,000. Recorder's Perpetuation Fund, $1189, $10,000. Riverboat Fund, $1191, a total of $204,422. Surveyor Perpetuation Fund, $1202, $4,000. Tax Sale Fees Fund, $1203, $31,931. Animal Shelter Donation Fund, $4101, $8,000. Hospital Interest, $4902, $16,250. Parks Grant Fund, $8153, $5,000. MOH DNR Grant Fund, $8155, $70,000. MOH IAC Grant Fund, $8,300, $7,779. And Coastal Management Grant Fund, $9102, $10,000. And that concludes second reading.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozak?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
6-0.
Okay, thank you. Attorney's report.
The only issue I wanted to raise, not even an issue so much as Vicki's going to talk about the property tax penalty waiver, which she has circulated, I think, at the last meeting. The statute was changed or enacted effective July 1st of 2017, and that essentially allows for the auditor and the treasurer to implement a formal policy on penalties on delinquent property taxes, but the policy has to be approved by the fiscal body, by us. So essentially, that's all that is. In talking to Vicki, she's formalized what has been the policy in place in general on penalties on delinquent property taxes, and so we just need to, as a body, per the statute, enact that or not. So that's essentially what we'll need a motion on that. Then in regards to, and I know that that's going to be brought up here on other business, there's also a statute, last year was the first year it was required that with regard to the levy limits for the taxing units within the county, the council is required to review the first meeting in August, those estimated levy limits, and Vicki's prepared a form for everyone to just take a look at.
That's part of everybody's packet, is that correct? Everyone's received that?
We got ours.
I believe so. And all that's required is that we review them at this meeting. At last year's meeting, there was also a written recommendation made, and that's provided for as well by that same statute. Last year's recommendation was, and Vicki, correct me if I'm wrong, that all taxing units should just stay within the maximum levy. So I would propose that we do the same here, and just, I wanted to point out to everyone that the statute does provide for that and require that we review those as well. So I know Mike's going to raise that here in other business, but having just preemptively dealt with that.
Yep.
So.
Thank you so much. Vicki, do you want to present your requests that you have?
For the penalty policy?
And the tax caps as well, assuming that's...
Penalty policy, you went over with us last week, so I move to approve the penalty waiver policy.
Second.
Motion on the floor that has a second to approve the penalty waiver policy that we've reviewed. Any discussion? Roll call?
Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozak?
Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
Yes.
And Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
6-0.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
And you want to present
Yes.
your next request as well, please?
If you don't mind, if I just sit here,
That's
because we
perfectly
have a
fine.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Basically, what we did is the same thing that we did last year, is that we took the state reports that are online of the estimated max levies and the estimated tax cap reductions per taxing unit in the county. And then we compiled it in the report that we disseminated earlier today. And my apologies for the lateness of getting it to you. It had to go through another proofing and...
So, if I understand this.
Yes.
On the 2017 levy, we had a max levy of $40,591,000.
Yes.
But we actually had a loss due to caps of $3,600,000. So even though we were reduced on our maximum levy this year, we're probably going to have more monies in our funds because our estimated loss due to the caps is less.
Okay, that's yes and no. Keep in mind, these are estimates only.
Right.
And last year's estimated max levy, we tried to give you apples to apples.
Right.
This is from the state report. They did give us a max levy of $40 million. However, that included much more for Opportunity Enterprises than what the annual support really is. So if you back that out, the max levy estimate from last year was actually $38.2 million. So we are seeing an increase in the max levy this year. I didn't want to manipulate those figures because that's what's in the state report. If you go online, that's what they gave us at this time last year. It turned out not to be accurate. But you are correct that the tax cap estimate last year was 3.6. Taxing units throughout the state of Indiana were very upset by this report. They felt the tax caps were too high. We didn't use the state's estimate in our budget numbers. We thought it was too high. We used the 75% figure. And I know other taxing units did not use the state's estimate. As you can see, we really, the year before, we had a $1.8 million loss. Now they're projecting about 1.9. That's probably much more realistic than,
Very good.
you know, what's being proposed. Last year was the first year that the state had to do this, and so I think they were maybe being more conservative. But if you really look at what last year's, or this year's tax cap loss is, if we could go real quickly to, we just put this together for the, there we go. Okay, yes, so for this year, our actual tax cap loss was $1.45 million. So it did go down compared to 2000. Even though the estimate was quite a bit higher. So,
Very good.
but no, the way you're reading it is correct. You take the estimated max levy, and then right off the top, you're going to lose that in tax caps. So where do you make up the difference? Through the cash balances and miscellaneous revenues.
Very good. Excellent.
So the action that needs to be taken,
You need a motion?
Well, according to the state, you are to review these figures for all the taxing units. This takes the place of the infamous non-binding review that I know all of you really enjoyed doing.
very productive.
But,
We've seen increases in every one of these municipalities this year.
in levy,
In levy.
yes, pretty much. And that's because the growth quotient went up.
Right.
This
So
year
it's
it was
still capped
3.8, and this next year it's
4%.
going up to 4%.
That's the max though, right?
Yes.
Wow, in the state.
The only motion that would be required would be if the fiscal body wanted to make that written recommendation to the taxing units. Yeah.
If they
and
follow
it's-
the
it's-
levy limits and tax caps by the state.
Right, and the statute says that we may make that recommendation after having reviewed them, so it's up to the council if they want to make that same recommendation as last
Your
year.
legal determination, is that beneficial to us?
I think I don't think it hurt. I don't think there's, I think it's basically just telling them
I make a motion
to.
that we recommend it to them.
Absolutely. Second it.
Motion on the floor, there's a second to recommend the levy limits and tax caps as presented, and suggesting that the
They have to stay within.
municipalities stay within those guidelines. Any additional discussion?
Is that what he said?
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
If not, we'll have roll call, please.
Okay, Councilmember Graham?
Yes.
Councilmember Larson?
Yes.
Councilmember Bozick?
Yep. Yes.
Councilmember Rivas?
No.
No. Councilmember Jessen?
Yes.
And Councilmember Conover?
Yes.
Okay, so I think it's
What's
a
that for?
5-1 vote.
We don't want them to stay within their,
He's suggesting double their spend.
What's it mean?
That means
I mean, it's,
well, there's usually 3 fire departments in 3 districts that go over.
Okay.
You're right, it does.
well, the state stopped giving us stuff that we got no control
Yeah,
over.
that's
What is this? Because this, I'm not here.
That's,
I'm out of town for like the first 2 meetings.
Can we get somebody in Andy's seat?
Somebody communicate with me?
You want to show up for a meeting?
Yeah, in your packet, those are the budget hearing dates that have been established.
Who established them? 'Cause I-
Those
The part of this that I
It's
remember.
a schedule based on the same calendar, we followed last year's calendar.
Yeah.
Can we adjust? Are you guys interested in adjusting?
If that's the desire of the board, we certainly can. I mean, I think...
Yes.
But you're-
We're gonna
Yeah, you know, the first 2 meetings, I'm in California for
Just call him
business.
Dan.
Oh, no. I thought you said this was under,
I'm not, otherwise, this is my first
Let
year,
me-
that's why I didn't want to miss the
Let
first.
me say this.
Let me put it to you this way.
As you have the proposed schedule in front of you, if there's a problem with those dates where you know you can't be in attendance, if you could submit that to me,
Yes, sir.
and then depending on who can or can't show up, we can make adjustments. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Assuming
Don't we have to
we get
advertise that?
most of our,
Yeah, we do.
at what point does that need to be
Yeah, we have to
advertised?
Okay, we need the public hearing, we need to post it on Gateway in a public advertisement at least
Absolutely.
10 days before the public hearing.
Which is, what's the date on that
We are
is?
coming into the Labor Day holiday.
You ever
so
heard
we
the
do have
term
to be
not so
mindful.
well, Andy? Sorry.
My first budget meeting, you guys cut me off. Nice.
Oh, you'll have several.
Well, but I'm missing the first reading.
We should make every attempt to.
What's the date, Ricky, that?
Oh, we have.
Thank you, Mr. Democratic supporter.
We have.
At what point, at what point do we need to, what's our drop dead date for making the formal announcement?
I can't.
For posting it on the paper, or letting people know when it is?
We only have to post it on Gateway.
Okay.
So if we keep, September 19th, or you want
It
to...
starts the 18th.
I want to know when, at what point can we not change the schedule?
After this.
What, you're on camera.
That was on this side.
He said he's not here the 18th or 19th.
I'm out of town the 17th,
Well, given that
18th,
we
19th.
don't have all the
Yeah, by
budgets
the man,
turned in
full
yet,
time.
it's going to be advertised.
I mean, I'll be missing the jail, the sheriff. They're all important.
I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Let's see, if we advertise on the 30th.
30th? That's 10 days.
Do you know offhand what?
I can't be here on the 18th and 19th.
Are those the only 2 days?
17th, 18th, and 19th, I come back the 20th.
We're not gonna do it on the
I'll be here the 20th in the evening, if needed to be.
That'd be too quick, the 17th would be crazy.
17th's a Saturday.
Yeah, I know, that's why I said, don't worry, we're not gonna do it on that day. We won't miss anything that day.
That's my wife's birthday, she's already mad I'm out of town.
I'm looking at the
Our second reading on the 19th.
First reading.
So the first reading plan is important. Can I ask?
Be here for the first reading?
No, that's what I'm saying. So what if, and just suggesting this, what if we move the second reading, the first second reading, the 19th to the 20th? And then I could be
I
there.
can't make it the 20th.
Oh, I don't mean to do that. Sorry. Thought I
See what you're starting? That's snowball.
But, and something else I wanted to ask, did we move the foundation meeting? I see on September 26th, it's foundation meeting at 5 and the regular at 5:30, and then we have a second reading at 6. Did we move the foundation meeting to 5 now? Is that normally?
I think we
I
all.
thought it was 4:30.
4:30.
Sometimes it's even 4:30.
Yeah, so what time, is that really 5?
It's up to you guys.
It's a good pickup. Good pickup.
I'll do whatever too, that damn flexible. I just decided.
You want us to move the meeting location? Jim?
I changed the subject so Weston can come
Go to your
in.
house, we can watch your kids while we're meeting?
Can we email you then?
Yeah, let's do that. For the dates that you can't make it based on what you see before you,
I wrote mine.
email that to Joel, and then we'll compile that and try to figure out what we can do to be more.
We're sticky now.
Yeah, I
Sorry?
got mine.
Andy, we all love you, whatever day we'll make it work, we'll try to make it work.
Thank you.
Amen.
So we're leaving the foundation meeting at 5 that other day though?
And if you don't want that at 5, put that in your notes.
I don't care.
No, I'm saying, that's a fair question.
Thank you.
Can we do it, we have...
We can do anything we want.
Let's just go.
Well, that's
We just need to know what we want.
And we need to know the availability of this room,
Right.
because other people need here.
Oh, that's true.
That's your mouth.
Mike, recall first reading typically is just me reading that big long list of advertised numbers,
Thank
which
you.
we always advertise.
Okay, so the only meeting I'm worried about, that first second reading.
Second reading is what we call second reading, where you get into the nitty-gritty of the budget.
That's true. You mean like the start on, is that what you're talking about?
What, I'm sorry?
I think that's what Andy was saying is he doesn't necessarily,
He does.
you're not worried about the first reading,
No.
just maybe the second
I was
reading.
hoping to be here for that second reading, which is currently for the 19th. So thank you, guys.
I'm hungry.
Okay?
Anybody have anything else for the greater good?
Yes, good night.
Not, this meeting's adjourned.